It's Perp back with another video, and I just wrapped up Avatar: The Last Airbender, the new live action adaptation coming out of Netflix. And Netflix has definitely turned things around as far as live adaptations go. With these animes or animations getting turned into live action, I think Netflix is starting to learn from their mistakes. You know, we saw that with One Piece. Some people are mixed with Yu Yu Hakusho, but now we got Avatar. And this one was definitely a controversial one as well because of M. Night Shyamalan's 2010 version of Avatar: The Last Airbender. I didn't even bother watch that. Now, going into this, I do gotta preference this that I am a super casual Avatar fan. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a diehard. I don't know the lore in and out like a lot of other people. And I respect that about a lot of hardcore Avatar fans, that they just know the lore and are just very passionate about this story and these characters. And it's been 20 years almost. Like next year it'll be 20 years since Avatar has been a thing. And my thing is, it never hurts to make a live adaptation of something. You know, comic book movies do it all the time. None of the MCU movies are exactly like their source material and stuff like that, but they do get some of the characters right. And that's the key to making these live adaptations work, is just getting the source material right, getting the characters right, getting the effects to look good. And I feel like all of those three things kind of work for me with this series, and it's probably not going to work for everybody else. Some people are expecting a one-to-one, and I'm glad that they didn't do a one-to-one and just kind of did their own thing, restructured certain things that people know about the Avatar story. And I think that's smart, because now this is going to entice people that have never watched the Avatar animated series to now give that a chance. Because one big thing that's going to turn a lot of people off is, oh, it was on Nickelodeon, so it must be kiddish, or it just must be really kiddie, very immature. Even though from what I remember, certain aspects of the animated series can be goofy and very kiddie, because it is more geared towards that audience. But it also has its serious moments where you get into the actual story with the politics and just how all the different elementals work in this world and how they function. So with that out of the way, you know, I want to get into some of the story and the characters and my overall thoughts. I absolutely loved the way that this series kicked off with showing the Fire Nation invading the air nomads and seeing how brutal that shit was. And another aspect of why I like this live adaptation being on Netflix is because they can kind of not hold back when it comes to the violence and showing the brutality of the Fire Nation. And I take back what I said about Earthbenders, you know what I'm saying? Because this one guy was like really holding it down. But this whole beginning is to pretty much set up Aang's character and how he gets frozen in ice and whatnot, and how he becomes the last airbender. And obviously with the Fire Nation attacking these airbenders, it is successful for the firebenders, because they eradicate everybody. And even Aang's master said, like, yo, if you would have stuck around, you would have been annihilated too. So this needed to happen for him to get frozen in ice. And, you know, obviously Sokka and Katara are the ones that find him in the ice. It definitely kind of plays out differently. A lot of these characters' personalities are a little bit different compared to their animated versions. How different? I'm not going to go into detail. Like I said, I'm not like a super hardcore fan, so I couldn't spot exactly the differences beat by beat Eventually I will get back to the original series to kind of do a little comparing and contrasting, because it's probably going to be a minute before we get season 2 of this series. Probably not going to wait that long, because obviously these characters are going to age. And that's another thing that's interesting about live adaptations of animated shows and stuff like that, is because that's the one thing that you kind of run into, is the aging up part, and what do you do about that? And I'm assuming that they have a whole plan, considering how the first season ended off. But like I said, I like that introduction. I like Sokka's character in this. I think Sokka definitely ended up being like the standout for me. Aang's character, he sounds like a version of Aang, and I like the stuff that he has to pretty much deal with throughout this whole entire series, of him taking responsibility of becoming the Avatar. He never really wanting that responsibility, going to all these different past avatars like Kyoshi, Roku, drawing a blank on the water dude's name, but that's really dope to kind of give the audience a bunch of lore dump that, like I said, if you're going into this fresh, that this is going to be a lot of information that's important moving forward. And I'm surprised at how much lore they kind of crammed into these 8 episodes. Each episode is about an hour, so it's a lot of time to kind of dissect and stick around with these characters, to kind of get to know them, get the feel of them. And I think that's the one thing that was holding back the Avatar movie, is like you only got like 2 hours to really break all this story down, where I think they did a really good job of explaining, the different nations, the different elements, and why they are beefing with one another, and why their philosophies are very different, and some of them share similar philosophies as far as there should be peace. Some people just want absolute power. It's just very fascinating to watch. So of course you have our villains, or our antagonists, Zuko, that's looking for the Avatar. He's been banished by Fire Lord Ozai. And Ozai is a very interesting character, because he doesn't believe in the Avatar. He feels like the Fire Nation should be the one to dominate all the other elements and whatnot. And I love this like family dynamic throughout this whole entire series, or the first season, is you have Zuko just trying to get home. Like, he's hell-bent on finding the Avatar. He's very arrogant. He's a hothead, but he shows like a softer side to him. You know that deep down inside, that's just not how he really feels. Like, he's not completely evil like his father. And I also like the introduction to his sister Azula, and the parallels between like Azula and Zuko. Then you kind of see the polar opposite with Sokka and Katara. The difference is, however, is they're trying to fight for their daddy's love, which Ozai shows no type of compassion and love towards his children. He just looks at them as, look, I'm going to mold you into how I see fit. Like, if I see that you're weak or anything like that, no, you can't be around me. All that family drama I really liked, and I can't wait to see what ends up being the results of that going into season 2, because there's definitely going to be a clash between Zuko and Azula at some point, because the whole time, Zuko's having this cat and mouse chase with Aang, trying to figure out how he could capture him, bring him back to his father so he can go back home. Pretty much that's all Zuko really wants. And on top of that, he just runs into a lot of different obstacles. Like one obstacle being General Zhao. He is a wannabe. He just wants power. He craves that, so he'll do whatever it takes to get in the Fire Lord's good gracious. Tries to take all of Zuko's hard work away from him, but not knowing that Zhao is just a pawn in Azula's whole scheme. I really liked how that all played out, and just the adventure aspect of Aang, Sokka, and Katara just going all into these different villages and different tribes, like going to uh, Omusha, I think that's how you pronounce it, that Earth Kingdom, and them going up north to see the other Earth, waterbenders and whatnot. For Katara to look for a master, her trying to complete what she's trying to get going as far as her being the only waterbender from her tribe, and her also having to deal with the fact that a lot of men only have done the fighting up north, where she kind of integrates herself and says like, no, I could be an asset, I could do this. And now she has to teach Aang how to master water bending. Really like that. I also like Sokka's character because he really just wants to be a leader. You know, like I said, that there's like little parallels, but they're polar opposite, where they're just want to make their tribe and their family proud and happy. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of really dope moments throughout this series. Visually, I think the airbending and the action looks really stunning. A lot better than M. Night Shyamalan's, and better than I think a lot of people expected. Some people aren't going to love this series as much, but I really liked just all these different characters, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they build upon, or what else are they going to do differently compared to the animated series. And will we see a major character death down the line when we get to the final season? Like, will Sokka be the one to have to kind of sacrifice himself, because it seems like that's what his path of his character's path is taking? Where will Katara end up? You know, where will Aang be at in season 2, because he has a lot to still learn. And I like that, you know, he understands his responsibility as an avatar, yet he realizes that there's a lot still he has to learn. He has to learn water bending, earth bending, and fire bending to completely unlock his full potential. So I enjoyed this. You know, for an 8-episode watch, I thought this was very solid. I'm curious to see how it's going to do over time. I know on Rotten Tomatoes, I don't know why anybody gives a fuck about Rotten Tomatoes still. It has a really low score. I would say just go into this with your own expectations and don't really listen to any reviews or negative reviews or positive reviews. Go in there with your own 2 cents and see how you enjoy some of the changes. Be a little bit open-minded to the changes, you know what I'm saying? Let's see where this goes. And that's just my thoughts on season 1. I will see y'all in the next season. Till next time, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.